Hi, everyone. Welcome back to First Principles. And today we've got Siddhartha with us. We'll be talking about agriculture and marketing. Hey, Siddhartha.
Hey Sagar, nice to do this with you. I mean, this is the first time. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I hope it goes well as well. Okay. Siddhartha, do you want to introduce yourself to our audience just so that we have some context on the subject?
Okay, so I'm from Delhi, and Sagar and I were classmates, and we go way back from the year 2000 and 2001 when we were classmates in class 7 and 8. And of course, I changed school, so yeah, that's that. A brief about my education. So I have a bachelor in agriculture sciences from Pantnagar University. Post that, I pursued MBA in agribusiness management from Manage Hyderabad. I worked with Netafim for 3 years. After that, campus placement. I for 3.5 years. After that, I joined Syngenta. In both the organizations, I was handling marketing. So basically, agri input marketings. One was for Netafim being the micro irrigation company, and Syngenta being the agrochemicals and seeds company that we all know about. And then I thought of, doing something more, adding a little bit value to my experience, education, I would say. So I joined the Sustainable Business and Innovation Program, master program at Wageningen University in the Netherlands.
Mhm.
I came here in 2002 and just almost about to complete it. So I think by August 31st, yeah, that's when we finish our master's program. So at the fag end of it, just, basically just waiting for the master's program to happen, and then let's see.
Nice. Okay, so are you done with your thesis or whatever else needs to be
Yeah, I'm
done?
done. Thanks for that. I'm done with my thesis. Yes, and just wrapping up the formalities, basically, just deregistering and all that stuff,
Yeah.
administrative things to do.
Hmm.
And then let's see. Hopefully, things will take a turn for the better out here.
Yeah. I mean, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you.
hope
Thank
you
you.
get receive your certificate pretty soon. Okay.
Yeah, indeed. Yes.
I want to start in a really sort of basic fashion over here because I mean, it's first principles, and most of the audience are not going to be really in tune with a particular subsection. And just again, I'm exploring my curiosity. Perhaps you can start with just give us like a quick overview of the whole agriculture industry, and then come at marketing from a different viewpoint. Since let's see how they collide together, and then we can explore agriculture marketing. Is that okay?
Okay, so first of all, what do you say? Disclaimer, all right. I won't really consider myself to be an expert, all right. Of
Mhm.
course, there are many other people who have a lot more information. Disclaimer, if I say something wrong here, so people don't start gunning for my life, all
Yes,
right.
of
I'll try to
course.
be, I'll try to be as accurate as possible, but
Hmm.
anyways, let's do this.
Yeah, yeah.
So okay, and I'm gonna do this from the perspective of my experience that has been.
Yes.
I mean, in agriculture marketing, so obviously you can be a marketing professional who is actually selling the produced goods. All right, so you can, I mean, whatever is grown. So agriculture basically involves everything. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not only just your field crops, which means rice, wheat, sugarcane, all that stuff. It also includes horticulture products, floriculture, forestry. All right, all this comes under agriculture. Dairy, so veterinary sciences, all your animals, birds, and everything that are actually, uh, well, I wouldn't call them grow, but which are actually reared for milk, meat, eggs production, and all that stuff. Fishes,
Yeah.
so everything that uh, all this comes under the whole agriculture gamut.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, you can actually go into the marketing of the finished products. So basically, you rear cows, milk
Hmm.
nikala, and then
Hmm.
you're selling milk. All right, so you could be a marketing of that. You could market processed products of agriculture. So that's when, but okay, so for example, like Amul is marketing butter, ice
Hmm.
creams, all that stuff. If you are marketing flour that's that you obtain from grinding wheat, for example, simple as that.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you also have to market the inputs that go into agriculture. All right, because because now the farmers that are growing, it could be farmers, it could be corporates, it could be just individuals who are just trying their hand or anything. All right, so they need to become aware, or rather, they are the agriculture input companies. So the industry that I worked in is called agri input companies. Now, agri input basically means that whatever goes into it. Simple. It's as simple in agri input.
Hmm.
Like it's the literal meaning of it. So you could have machinery. because you need tractors, cultivators, all these stuff, to till the soil. You need seeds. All right. So you basically need a starting material for whatever agricultural uh, avenue that you want to venture into. Let me put it this way. You need fertilizers. All right. Because yeah, nutrients are required. And then you also need uh, crop protection. So for example, you need to protect your plants against diseases, pests, bacterial, fungal, viral, whatever, and the whole universe of insect pests that actually come and try to attack the crops that you're growing, or try to cause diseases in the animals that you're rearing. So all that,
Right.
right?
Right.
So my experience had been in the agri input. All right. So in Netafim, I was actually working for micro irrigation, Netafim being a micro irrigation company. So they were selling basically irrigation systems. All right. So very precision irrigation systems. Let me put it this. And then in Syngenta, I was actually working then for. So basically, Syngenta, or the division of Syngenta in which I was. So we were actually working for marketing of insecticides, pesticides, and herbicides. These were the three broad categories of products that I was working in. So that is how all the agriculture marketing thing is actually, in a nutshell, I would say that, okay, agri marketing would probably include these. And then, of course, there is one more thing, which is in agri, you wouldn't really call it agri marketing, but there is a whole procurement industry as well. So which basically procures commodities at good optimal prices, so that they are basically able to slash the bottom line expenses of any particular industry. So I wouldn't really call it marketing per se, but yeah, these days they kind of there's a blurred line between that.
Okay, so let me just not push back. Sorry, let me just repeat back what you've said so that I can understand as well. So this last thing that you said was more like a purchasing department in a particular company or an
Yeah,
industry,
okay.
right? Not marketing.
No. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Allow me to correct myself. So they are not into marketing as such,
Right.
but the whole agriculture industry right now today is doing these few
Three
important
things.
primary things. All right. One of them is also, the agri procurement thing. So, for example, a big company like ITC would want to procure a lot of wheat for their Ashirwad segment or something like that. So, that's what they would like to procure wheat at a good rate for their company, so that they're not able, they don't overspend basically on procuring all of that. But anyways, so let's keep that aside, but let's focus on.
Just to close the loop on that one. So
Yeah.
do you think a marketing professional with their particular skill set would be suited to the purchasing role if they don't want to do the marketing, again? So can they move to the purchasing role, or are they not a good fit?
See, I mean, of course, if okay, I mean, it's possible. All right. I mean, technically, it is possible, because if you are a marketing professional, you have a good idea about the market, definitely. All right.
Yeah.
So when what all important crops are growing where, or the geographies that you cover.
Right.
Having said that, it obviously requires a specific different kind of skill set when you want to go into procurement, right? Because then you need to know, acha, what are the prices at different geographies? What are the reigning prices of commodities at different geographies and at what time of the year?
Yeah.
So marketing will not really focus on catch-up prices, what are the prices of these things, all right? But the procurement people will have to basically have the prices of all the commodities at their fingertips before their competitors, have them, and try to lock these prices and procure whatever stuff there. So I mean, technically, yeah, you can, if you have the if you want to, and if you have the interest to do it there, but it will require a certain different kind of skill set from marketing.
Okay. And then the last section, and not the last section, I guess that was the first example, like Amul, marketing processed goods. In my eyes, that's like a fast-moving consumer goods company. So it's
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly. So of course, see, if you're marketing processed goods or finished goods, all right, the finished goods again can be two types, all right. So one is processed, Amul is there, ITC is there, MTR is there. I mean, the Nestle, Dabur, basically all the FMCG brands that you see in your grocery shelves or something like that. But you also have to market, for example, just the raw products as well. See, if you're if you're going to purchase vegetables or something like that, they are not processed.
Yeah.
But you still, yeah, but people still need to market them. All right. So obviously, on one hand, you have the processed marketing of the processed goods, all
Right.
right, which can be by these giants of the food processing industry, all right.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it could be small players as well. I mean, okay, for example, if there's a small farmer who is just, growing basil or some tomato and just making some pesto out of it and just selling it as a farm small product,
Yeah.
that person also is marketing. So again, that will also come under processing. But if, for example, I have a farm and I grow flowers or, fresh, some potatoes or some seasonal herbs, vegetables or something
Yeah.
like that. And I
Yeah.
need to market them. So I'm not processing them, but I still need to make my consumers aware about it.
Yes. Yes.
So
Okay.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
So marketing can be of processed as well as the unprocessed final goods.
Okay. So that's how you distinguish it from the FMCG marketing, because the unprocessed final thing is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the agri input sector, or you can call it just like a little division over here. Now, I'm assuming that your regular marketing chops, which is used to study consumer markets, how regular people interact, it's going to be different because it's more consolidated. You're selling to other producers, and so there is a different kind of analysis that goes over there. Walk us through that. Like, how do you differ these two segments?
See, that is actually a very good question. Like, how do you differentiate? I mean, see, the answer is very generic, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, but it is something that, I mean, it's nice to talk about. See, in an FMCG industry or in, most of the marketing, like if you, for example, if you buy a chocolate or if you buy a tomato ketchup bottle or something like that, right? So what is happening is that you're consuming the product immediately.
Yes.
All right, the consumption of the product is right there. I mean, okay, I'm not saying that you keep it in the fridge for 1 month, but the possibility of consuming it is right then.
Yeah. Fast
You can
moving.
just
Yeah.
exactly, that's how it is defined. In agriculture, the problem of agriculture marketing, or one of the key things that, and if you are able to, one of the key tricks, uh, if you are able to, sort of unlock the problems, is that you need to market products whose results are going to come 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year down the line.
Okay. Okay.
So basically this whole agri marketing thing, agri input marketing thing is working on a promise
Yes.
that, yeah, okay, these many months down the line or X defined period down the line, it's going to show results.
Yeah.
All right. It could be, see, for example, okay, and it also like kind of there's a gradient to it. So for example, if there are insecticides or something, so you say that, okay, there's an insect outbreak, or before an insect outbreak you spray. So they said, okay, within 1 week you can see the effects, but it's still a time. There's still a time. There's still a lag time.
Yeah.
If it's seeds, how am I supposed to convince a farmer that, okay, no, this seed is really going to perform well? And
Yeah.
you're going to get like this big tomatoes, or, you're going to get the watermelons of this big size. Average size is going to be really, much more than the competitors or whatever it is. And,
Yeah.
or this variety of paddy is going to, give this much yields per hectare or something like that.
Right.
In machinery, okay, machinery, for example, if it's a tractor, then you can use a tractor. Okay, you purchase a tractor and then you can immediately start using it.
Yeah.
And so this trust building actually takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time in FMCG as well, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of time before people purchase, they use it, they consume it, and then they spread the word of mouth. Acha, this is good, this is bad. Oh, X milk is good and Y milk is bad. X chocolates are good, Y chocolates are, okay, not bad, or whatever. It's personal
Yeah.
preference. In agriculture also, it takes a lot of time to build this trust, to build a brand, and that's why the bigger companies are able to sell their products based on the trust that their brand has. But
Yeah.
still, the results that you're going to see are going to be like, okay, 6 months, a period, after a period.
Right.
And then many a times, because, there are a lot of conditions. There are more conditions in agriculture in the application and in how the particular agri input is going to react with all its environment. So
Okay.
how a pesticide is going to react with the seed, how it's going to react with the water, and you almost always have limited control over how the farmer is using those particular things.
Right.
So you say that, okay, for example, please use 10 ml of X pesticide on a crop in this much. Farmers will be like, 10 ml, why don't I put 20? Because we have this thing, na, कि अच्छा thoda, let's put a little more, just for good luck.
Yeah.
And sometimes it performs, and many a times when farmers, there is for example, in pesticides, for example, there is that, okay, there is a recommended dosage. You are supposed to put this many ml. Farmers like, I'm going to put 50% of it because I need to cover more, because on saving expenses, something like that. And
Yeah.
then they do not perform because you are underdosing it. All right.
Right.
And then the farmer is like, this product is not nice. All right. So
Interesting.
you have to battle a lot of moving parts here to actually then convince, because see, farmers and farmers speak to each other a lot. And they
Okay.
see, acha, this person, if this thing is working, then I'm gonna, use it. But if it's not working, then the bad news travels faster than like a performing good news about agriculture products. I mean,
Oh,
yeah. That's how it is. I mean, farmers are like, acha, theek hai, this thing is performing. It could be fertilizer or chemical or seed or whatever it is. Farmers are like, acha, okay, I'll see. It might be expensive. I'm gonna take, I'm going to be cautious about it. Let me, dip my feet a little bit, and then I'm gonna try this, that, and everything. But if it's bad, then a farmer like, if his livelihood has been spoiled, I am definitely not gonna use it. There
yeah.
are a lot of moving parts here that agriculture marketing people, because then you basically have to go and firefight. Ki, "Acha, nahi bhai, there was actually a problem in the whole application, or there was a problem in which this particular farmer, the way he sowed his seed, sowed his nursery, all these things, and then you need to really calm, pacify." So
Right.
marketing in agriculture, and it's difficult sometimes to get to farmers as well, because yeah, I mean, if you are an FMCG consumer, so I can always hire somebody, Shah Rukh Khan or Amitabh Bachchan type, and say that, okay, now I trust dairy milk, for example,
Yeah.
you know. But in agriculture marketing, it's really difficult. Sometimes it can get really difficult to get to farmers.
Wow. Okay. So this is very interesting because I had a inkling. Well, anyway, you're dealing with a primary industry on which
Yes.
almost every other industry is based. It's food.
Yeah.
Then you're dealing with farmers, and I don't know how wealthy farmers are or how much of a war chest they have, but effectively, it's very season dependent. They're very literally touching the ground every day.
Mm-hmm.
So the stakes are always high. If that
Mm-hmm.
person's livelihood did not kind of work out, did not work out in like last season, what I'm trying to ask is, are there second chances here for a particular product that comes in that market? Or if kind of the bad news has already spread, it'll be difficult. You will have to rebrand, like from a marketing perspective. How do you attack that?
See, okay. Uh, hmm. Okay, so I'll tell you how, okay, the trust building process. Okay, let's
Yeah.
let's let's
Yeah.
let's talk about this. Like, okay, how exactly if something goes south, all right,
Yeah.
and there are times when for really good brands things have really gone south,
Yeah.
all right. So in that case, then see, it is upon the company, because ultimately the company needs to sell, their products and everything. And yes, though the farmers, I mean, yeah, it's a big loss for them, and for farmers who actually lose a lot, that they are
Right.
not able to recover that particular season, it becomes really difficult. And you know, uh, I mean, as a company, okay, we might not be directly responsible for it, but it is sort of it comes on the owners of the company that, okay, fine, ultimately we are here for the farmers, so let us try to you
Yeah.
know go down to the root cause of it. Let's try to
Hmm.
understand why this happened, and then let's, okay, try to find a solution together, because we have to take that farmer, his whole community, into confidence.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So then what most agriculture marketing people they do is that, okay, or agriculture companies, they do that, they go and talk to him or her, what exactly happened. All
Okay.
right. They try to show small demonstrations that, okay, no, listen, this is how it should have been done. Now, what did you do? All right.
Hmm. Hmm.
Was it done like this? And okay, and then they try to showcase other people as well,
Hmm.
because you're not only trying to pacify this farmer, you're trying to pacify at least 100 other farmers who have heard ki, acha, something like this has happened.
Right.
All right. And then, it's a time taking process.
Yeah.
I can totally understand that, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of meetings, talking, personal talkings, group meetings, farmer meetings. You basically just see, you are always, as an agri marketing, you always have this risk that, okay, somewhere something's gonna go bad.
Okay.
But you
You
try
assume
to,
that.
yeah, because somewhere something will happen. It's a, see, ultimately the thing that you are working with is a living thing. All right. It's
Yeah.
not like, you melt steel and so it becomes from a ball to a rod. It's not like, okay,
Yeah.
that it's bound to happen. It's a
Inherently
living,
chaotic. It's
yeah,
inherently chaotic. Right.
it is a living thing and something is bound to go wrong. So you try to convince the majority people that, okay, listen, in majority of the cases, things will not go wrong if you do it certain way.
Okay.
All right. So,
Okay.
and since, and you're right. I mean, these things are seasonal as well. So
Hmm.
you can't just start doing anything at any time.
Right. Right.
You cannot, I mean, you cannot start using any fertilizer at any stage of the crop.
Okay.
You cannot start spraying any crop protection chemical at any stage of the crop.
Hmm.
And on the basics, you cannot start sowing any seeds at any time of the year. I mean,
Right.
there are periods in which you need to do that.
Hmm.
So there's always a risk that something will go south.
Okay.
As an agri marketing person, you try to maintain that, okay, majority people are aware of the right thing to do in order to achieve the right results.
Okay. Okay. I want to paint a picture over here, and you let me know if this is uncomfortable or not. But I just trying to make sure, like, how would a farmer feel? So assume I'm a farmer. I don't know, for countless generations, all I've been doing, or my family or whatever my tribe has been doing, has been, tilling this land and making sure that we have enough. We have enough of subsistence, and we are also, pushing it out, making sure that there is enough, right? Okay. Now you come in with, scientific training, business training, and you tell me that I should not be using this in this way and this in that way. Is there friction there? How do you overcome that initial suspicion? Or, I mean, I don't know if you do that anymore or not because it's already done for you. But like theoretically, how would you overcome that initial suspicion of a farmer who's obviously very tied to their land and they know what they're talking about? So you can't say that they're wrong. How do you match that?
So one basic trick that most agriculture companies do is that, okay, so as you have that whole bell curve of the consumer segmentations, we have
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
innovators, early adopters, late adopters, laggards, so on. You have the same thing for farmers as well. All right,
Okay.
it's pretty simple. And in every community and in every farming community, all right, you will always have a certain section of farmers who are ready to adopt. It will be a very small segment. These farmers could be big farmers. So big farmers, I'm talking like who have acres, hectares of land. They're rich,
Right.
affluent,
Right.
and they have become rich and affluent because they keep on trying. So your people on the field are made aware that that particular farmer is there. He has a lot of money, a lot of land, and he is, and this has nothing to do with age. Old people can become, you have this notion that, yeah, maybe the old people do not want to deviate too much from their practices. But there are old people, there are young people, all right, men, women, everyone. So you can never, so it's, you can never say that, okay, there's a particular age group in which, that
Yeah.
is averse to adopting. Anyways,
Yeah.
so most companies, what they do is that they go and identify these people,
Okay.
all right,
The
and
innovators, the early
the
adopters.
innovators, all right,
Right.
the innovators, early adopters, yeah, right. And then they go to them, Acha, listen, we have this thing and we would like to showcase this to you. He's like, okay,
Hmm.
fine, you have 2 acre, I have hundreds of acres, 2 acre, you just plant this thing, show me the results.
Okay, so you
And
sandbox
now,
it. You do a little sandboxing over there with that. With
not a sandbox, I mean a literal like 2 acres, 3 acres with that person, or it can be a small demo plot as well. I mean,
okay,
yeah,
okay, okay.
sandboxing as well,
Yeah.
or it could be like a huge area in which, okay, fine,
Hmm.
I can take this much risk.
Hmm.
This is okay for me.
Fair enough. Okay.
And now these people, when they see the results of the company's products performing, they become your spokesperson among their community.
Hmm. Okay.
So, I mean, no matter how much work that you can do in the field,
Hmm.
the word of farmers within themselves is the best way of, spreading your, of doing or marketing your product.
Right.
Once you are able to get these people to talk about your product,
Yeah.
it almost has a cascading effect. Then then
Okay.
there are then the late adopters will come,
Right.
so on and so on.
Okay. So it's almost like a sociological law, so to speak. I mean, of course, there's no law here, but like it's a trend that you observe.
It's
Now,
a trend,
hmm,
yes. and it's easier, it's almost, I mean, of course, you need to make efforts to get to assure that, okay, this innovator receives the best services, all right,
Hmm.
that our products are really performing and nothing, nothing goes south in this particular
Yeah.
initiative.
Hmm.
And once it performs, and then of course, this person becomes your spokesperson. So you can have farmer meetings, and then you call this person,
Hmm.
uh, call him or her as a guest of honor, and then you tell them, okay, listen, this is the person we have tried, we have worked with it, and this works.
Right.
Then the person also speaks two words. "Ki, "Acha, listen, I have used X company's things, all right, and they work, all right." And they never say that you should. They'll always say that, yeah, you can try, all right,
Right.
try
Right.
this, all right, it works for me.
Okay.
And yeah, of course, I mean, it's really difficult to break that generational thing that you're saying, that no, my father, my great grandfathers and everything, they've always been cultivating rice wheat, rice wheat, rice wheat, rice wheat.
Yeah.
Why should I start growing, cooker bits or
Yeah.
in the summer season? Yeah,
Yeah.
I have never done that.
And
It-
I don't know. I somehow relate with them. I might be wrong, but I relate
No,
with that
no,
thing.
no. See, farmers will tend to be risk averse. There are many
Right.
farmers who will tend to be risk averse. Like I said, it's a living
Hmm.
thing. Things
Hmm.
can go south. I mean,
Hmm.
okay, you invest a lot in say, for example, tomato.
Right.
And Sagar, you will not believe me, tomato seeds can cost up to lakhs of rupees. The
Wow.
hybrid tomato seeds, they are sold in numbers, like 1200 seeds ka packet. Or
Oh.
yeah, so the really good variety of tomato seeds, they are sold in numbers and
Right.
maybe in few grams, like 10 grams or something like that. Because you
Hmm.
can actually cultivate a huge area in that, small grammage. They can go up to lakhs of rupees per kg.
Hmm.
Right? So if you're making such an investment and say, for example, it doesn't rain, you're screwed.
Yep.
Sorry for the language, but
No,
yeah,
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah.
This is
I mean,
adult.
the farmer. So if it doesn't rain, if there's too much sun, all right, you are not able to. There was a disease outbreak. There was a pest outbreak. All right,
Locusts.
that yeah, locust, for example. Yeah, okay. Nobody could have. Okay, so for example, if there are local pests, you can still protect them. But if there's a locust attack
Yeah.
that comes from Pakistan, all the way from Central Asia, jump, Africa, and jumping into Pakistan and then coming into India, how do you protect against them? They
Yeah.
leave nothing on their way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, that is a that's a very extreme thing. But yes, locust was a very good example. Like if there's a
Hmm.
locust attack, what
Yeah.
do you do?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just wow. So this is interesting. Now tell me this. What's the single biggest metric that the whole agricultural and agriculture support industries are trying to maximize for? In my understanding, it's basically whatever inputs that are coming in, your yield should be higher. I mean, while we do not like kill the soil, because obviously,
ROI.
right?
It's
ROI
basically ROI. It's basically ROI.
in a
That is the
sustainable way, though, because we don't want the soil to not be able to produce next year, right? So that is also important, don't you think?
we see that actually is a very tricky question. Like, yes,
Okay.
of course, and that is a debate that's been going on for a very long time. That
Hmm.
okay, what is the tipping point
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
especially in a developing economy like India, right? Where uh okay, see, we have a lot of land under agriculture.
Hmm.
On almost half of our land, or okay, not half of our geographical land per se, but the
Yeah.
cultivated area in our country is about, like, combining all the seasons, it roughly comes out to about half of the total geographical area, right?
Yeah.
And the problem with India has been for a very long time is that our productivities are very low. We produce a lot. We are the highest producers of many things
Hmm.
in the world,
Hmm.
right? But our per unit area productivity is very low. Now,
Okay.
why I'm telling you this is because almost everyone in India is trying to increase the productivity,
Hmm.
right? And for that, if they have to, at this moment, pump the soil with excessive fertilizers, with chemicals,
Yeah.
because the potential, the genetic potential of our crops is not really. So we had a very bad phase just after independence.
Yeah.
Like, there were famines and everything, and of course we weren't really, I mean, okay, after independence, you know how it was.
Yes.
And then we had to have our own green revolution. we had, all right. So basically,
And a white revolution for milk.
sorry.
And a white revolution for milk.
And a white revolution for milk, all right. So yes,
Mm.
we had that, all right. We had the green revolution where, okay, Norman E. Borlaug and he came up with all the hybrid rice and hybrid wheat varieties, basically the two staple crops.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, we did good for ourselves because then we could grow these things that had higher productivity than what we had. But right now, the trend is that the genetic potential of the crops is really, they're not really able to increase is, the delta that is not that much. That can actually sustain, or that we actually reach at the productivity levels of the world.
Okay.
All right. So we are just growing a lot because we have a lot of farmers and we have a lot of area. It's just mathematical. There's nothing special. There's nothing special going on in most places.
Yeah.
So why, see, the debate is similar to like, fossil fuels or something like that. Why doesn't India stop using fossil? Right? The rhetoric of India is like, why we are a developing economy, we are going to burn coal.
Yeah, of course. No.
We are going to use petrol because we cannot stop right now.
Just to clarify, I am not one of those people who is like, just because you impacted Earth, it's a bad thing. No. I think like beavers build dams, human beings build environments around them, right? We evolve the environment around us. That's how we live a good life. I believe in that. However, I was just saying, like, if I have like okay, let's say I am a race car driver, right? I would like my car to be able to drive in a race. I do not want the car to drive so fast that it just can't handle me anymore and blow me up, right? So I'm just trying to figure out the most optimal way of getting productivity in such a way that sustains me in the long term. Like that should not like screw with me. So my idea is it's not conservation for the sake of conservation. It's conservation for the sake of continuity. That's what I'm coming from. So I'm not against fossil fuels. Obviously, its energy is important, and then we move on to better sources of energy. So just getting that out of the way.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, see, we for far too long, we've tried to run away or keep this question aside that, okay, listen, we really don't want to talk about sustainability in agriculture right now. Because in India we are so many people, we need to feed, so we need to basically do whatever it takes.
Yeah, of course.
To put food on the table.
Yeah, has the highest value. I agree with that.
Exactly. Yeah. But I my personal feeling is that yes, of course, there is a lot of research, and there has to be more research that actually increases the genetic potential of the crops that you are growing, because that is one sustainable way.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Second thing is that, of course, you have your whole crop protection measures because you need to have crop protection measures. Today, you cannot think about it. See, we have created this problem ourselves that we need crop protection measures.
Oh, explain that.
How? This is a problem that we've created ourselves. See, when we started agriculture, what did we do? All right. Everything was growing everywhere. We selected few things. All right. And grew them.
Genetically modified it. But
in
a very slow way.
That's
in
a
a very slow way.
That's a different thing. I'm not even going there. I'm not even going in GMO.
Oh, by the way, I'm not opposed to GMO. I'm just saying. But
no. That has
we
nothing.
selected. Got it.
That is nothing. We just selected. Say, for example, there were 100 different types of paddy varieties that the early humans saw, and they're like, "Acha, this is nice and fragrant, long." So okay, this is basmati. We are going to
keeps me alive. Yeah.
This is smelling good when it gets cooked. Let's start growing this in mass. Now, what started happening is that in the wild, what happens is that, okay, you do not have that many single sources of food for the pests.
Yes.
Insects and pathogens both.
This variety.
And then when you started growing them, basically, so it was a free buffet for those pests which attack these particular crops.
Oh boy. Okay.
I mean, let me put it this way. It might be a very childish way of putting it, but it was like a free for all. Acha, theek hai bhai, please come. We have grown this. That was not our intention, but then the pests were like, acha, theek hai, fine.
It's there.
All the rice pests, all the paddy pests were like, oh my God, acres and acres of unending buffet. Let's dig in.
Yeah.
So, and over a period of time, these particular pests. So when I say pests, I'm talking about insects and pathogens both, all right?
Yeah.
Insects and microorganisms.
And also, I mean, it's also based on what they do to us. So we call them pests because these folks kill our crops and then we die. So that's why they're called pests, and that's why there is this derision. I mean, obviously, if
We
they were, if a,
die.
I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
I'm just, I'm being, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm being
Okay, so
dramatic, but
pest. Okay, okay, so let's define what a pest is. And this is a
yeah,
definition that we learned in our agriculture days. Pest
okay,
is something that causes economic damage.
ah,
So unless and until it starts causing an economic damage to you,
hmm,
it will really not be called economic. Yeah. All right. Yes. I'm sorry for the
hmm,
pronunciation. So yeah, unless and until it starts causing an economic damage to your
hmm,
crop, it
hmm,
really is not defined as a pest.
ah,
For example,
okay,
there's 10 bugs in your field, and you will not start calling them a pest per se,
right, right, right,
unless that particular pest has the potential to cause an economic damage. And then you start taking measures.
okay,
Similarly for pathogens, and similar, so there are weed pests also, like there are competitive plants which grow.
yes, yes,
Right?
yes, of course, yeah.
You won't call them pests, they're called weeds because they're like in a
When I
different
was
category.
young, that was the only definition of weed I knew. Those were the weeds, not the other way around.
There was this professor in our undergraduation. So he had this. So he used to call weed. They're like, okay, what's the full form of weed? We're like, we don't know. He's like, waste, extra, economic damage. And I'm like, oh my God. And so that's how you remember it. It's a waste.
Yeah,
All right?
yeah,
Doesn't need to be where it is. It's extra. It causes economic damage. But
mm,
anyways, so that is how. So I mean, this is a problem that we created for ourselves when we
mm,
started agriculture as a whole. Because see, we swept aside all the other non uh, important
to us. Yeah,
varieties of
mm,
multiple number of things.
yeah,
For almost, not almost, I am pretty sure that for every crop that we are consuming today,
mm,
every kind of flower that we are growing for our own luxurious benefits, or every kind of whatever that we are doing in agriculture, we might
right.
have killed scores, hundreds other more, just so that,
Yes,
or just taken them out of the equation. They are no longer existent,
right.
just so that we could actually grow these, what are actually suitable for us,
Yes.
the qualities of which are basically required by us.
So some standardization has taken place over there when it comes to crop varieties and all of these things.
Of course, of course.
And I'm assuming that there is so much focus on cereals and carbs because you can store them for longer. So like you again, granaries can store them for longer. That's my
Yeah,
assumption.
they're the basic crops. I mean, see,
Yeah.
the whole world either eats rice, wheat, maize.
Rice with maize. Yeah.
I mean, the
Mm.
whole world.
Pretty much.
It's
Yeah.
just the three basic things. There are
Yeah.
few pockets in the world that will eat some millets. So
Right.
your jawar, bajra, pearl millet, sorghum, quinoa, all these
Yeah.
things.
I mean,
Uh,
you could survive on just like plants and meat, right? Why do you need these cereals crap? My
nutritionally, just on plants and meat.
yeah, you could, right? Like you can have a paleo diet.
Yeah, but okay, plants. I mean, okay. See,
Nothing.
honestly,
I guess
I'm not really aware about the whole what a paleo diet is. So you need to
my
explain me that.
no. My proposition is that yes, if you basically have let's say wild game meat, you hunt and gather yourself, right? So of course that's the best diet. But then we are not hunter gatherers. So when we need food security, which is basically the baseline security of any other kind of security which comes in, the best way to do that is through grains. It's through wheat, it's through rice, and that's the reason why governments have invested in granaries and all of these things. So my I guess understanding is that that's the reason why we focus so much on those, and we call them there's a word for that, right? Staple crops, right? We call them
Staple.
staple crops, and that's the reason why to have that security. Sorry, I don't want to mean to derail you, but
No,
you were
no,
talking
no.
more. Yeah.
Okay, of course, it's easier to store grains, all
Hmm.
right, but it's
Hmm.
easier to store pulses as well. I mean, it's
Ah,
kind of the
fair
same
enough.
thing. I
Yeah.
mean, you
Yeah.
can
Fair
just
enough.
dry them up. You dry them up to about whatever the optimal moisture level is, and you
Okay.
can keep them.
Okay.
Cereals
Interesting.
are cheaper to grow, and cereals are cheaper to purchase as well,
Got it.
right? So yeah, and culturally, all right,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's cereals have a common thread. Their form might be different, but cereals have a common thread across cultures that, okay, rice, wheat,
Yeah.
maize, these are the things that people will eat, whether they eat some certain kind of a pulse, whether
Yeah.
they don't eat meat at all.
Yeah.
For example, I mean, the whole world is
Right.
full of vegetarians and they will
Of
never
course.
touch meat. So what do you
Yeah.
do then?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
All right.
True that. Hmm.
So cereals, because of them having a common thread across cultures, across geographies,
Hmm.
I mean, historically, like prehistorically also, cereals were the first thing that were, those were
Grown.
domesticated.
Right.
So that's
Right.
why.
Okay. So you're saying we created the problem of these massive pests because we had these monoculture crops. Now then what happens? And then now we're trying to solve for that problem ever
Now
since.
we're trying to solve them. So yeah, I mean, there are multiple ways. Of course, you can just spray the whole thing with chemicals and then they die and everything.
Hmm.
We also, I mean, agriculture scientists especially, they also advise that, okay, stop just, growing similar kinds of crops season after season.
Okay.
Give them a break in between so that, there's a break in the whole pest cycle. Because see, what usually happens is that, okay, say for example, you have paddy
Hmm.
grows, you have the
Hmm.
paddy pest all over it. They complete their life cycle in the paddy crop.
Hmm.
And even after the paddy is dead, also the sorry, even after the paddy crop has been harvested, that was
Right.
stupid. Even though after the paddy crop has been harvested, the remains, everything, they stay there, and then the pest will try to bide their time
Hmm.
somewhere nearby, waiting
Yeah.
for the next crop to come.
Okay.
If you break that cycle, so basically
Hmm.
this is called crop rotation.
Yeah.
If you break that cycle, all right, the pest has nowhere to go
Okay.
because the pest is very specific to a particular kind of uh, crop.
Crop. Yeah.
Unless it is a pest that that can just jump between crops.
Evolves.
So yeah, so then you have a problem at hand. Then you basically have a major problem at hand. But most of
Yeah.
the pests that we see, they are very specific to a particular family of crops.
Yeah.
So for example, some pests will go only for the rice and their different all the other things that have come under the rice family, for example.
Yeah.
Some will be very specific to tomatoes and chilies and potatoes, that kind of a thing. So basically, the sustainable way is to like break this whole cycle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And try to reduce their pest pressure, so to
Hmm.
speak.
Is there a sustainable way to um this might be really out there, but let's say after every harvest, somehow the soil just becomes more fertile and more nourishing. Do we have a way to do that? I don't know. Can we put some volcanic ash on it so that it gains some nutrients? Like, is there any research going on?
Sorry, could you just
Like,
repeat your
how do
question
you
again?
how do you ensure that the soil remains fertile after every harvest cycle? Like, is there do we have specific products for that, not for the
Yes,
yield?
fertilizers. So
Okay,
basically,
that's the
so
only
see,
thing.
that
Okay, all right.
that that is why you use fertilizers,
Hmm.
because your crops have really sucked the life out of the soil. So that's
Hmm.
okay. I mean, so basically you just use fertilizers. So you have your basic fertilizers, your nitrogen, potassium,
Yeah.
phosphorus, and then your calcium, magnesium, all that stuff.
Okay.
Or what some people do is that they leave the crop, they leave the land for maybe 1 or 2 months, 3 months,
Okay.
just so that it rests. Just,
Right.
soil needs to rest.
Right.
And many times what farmers do is that they grow some really small short duration, like 1 month, 2 month crops, which
Yeah.
really don't grow that much, but they really regenerate the soil. So they can grow like some, for example, leguminous crops. There are
Hmm.
multiple varieties, all right, multiple different crops
But like
that they,
dals, pulses?
no, not pulses. You won't call them pulses because we don't consume them. These
Acha.
are
Okay.
crops that are just grown to cover the soil, all right?
Okay. Okay.
And after 1 month, so you just till the whole thing. You just basically just get a tractor and just rotate the whole, just mix everything into the soil. All
Interesting.
right. What happens is that because they are such good at fixing nitrogen, so they replenish the soil in terms of the nitrogen that had been taken away by the
Hmm.
previous crop
Hmm.
by virtue of their biomass decomposing. So the bacteria and everything, the fungus, basically bacteria and fungus, they'll act on the decaying leaves and tiny stems of these crops,
Yeah.
and then try to replenish and re-nourish the soil as well.
Okay.
So many farmers do that as well. That's pretty sustainable that way, instead of just pumping yourself.
Yeah.
Earlier on, I mean, many decades ago, why do farmers actually burn their crops, or rather, why did they burn it?
Yeah.
All right.
The
So
stubble burning.
yeah, stubble burning. I
Yeah.
mean, see, okay, today you might say that okay, it's just easy. Right? It's just easy. Spray something, and then just burn it instead of cleaning the whole thing, because it involves a lot of labor. All
Okay.
right, it's just easy.
Okay.
But technically, okay, technically now we are not here debating about whether it's right or wrong, but technically, if you burn everything, so that returns all of the nutrients back to the soil. So
If you
whatever
can manage the
nutrient,
pollution, then
if
that's the
yeah,
best
okay,
thing.
let's
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
keep all that aside. But
Side. Yeah.
technically, So because whatever nutrients that the plant has taken from the soil, it
Right.
uses in constructing its entire biomass.
Right.
And when you burn it, so basically you just send off carbon and oxygen.
Yeah. Out.
Whatever remains, the dry
Yeah.
matter, all right, that comes back to the soil in a
Hmm.
very absorbable way, in a very simple way.
Hmm. Okay.
All right. So, I mean, in fact, one of the first scientists that actually found that okay, if you burn some things, so you have potassium, phosphorus. So they always found it in their oxide state, like because potassium burned, so K2O or something it formed.
Yeah.
So even today, when you look at in agri lingo, when you say that okay, you want to add potassium, so you never say that you add just K. So you just say you add K2O,
Okay.
potassium dioxide, but you actually add potassium. So that lingo still stuck on because the first time it was discovered was actually in the ashes of the crops that they had burnt just to study the dry matter.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Wow.
yeah. So burning, okay. The way the burning is happening today, especially in Punjab and Haryana, it's well, that again is a problem that we created ourselves. I mean, yeah, it's a vicious cycle. You start talking about it, it'll just blow your mind. It is a
Yeah.
problem that, it is a problem of agricultural advancement, according to me, and that's my
Hmm.
personal opinion. It's a problem that, it arised out of a necessary evil,
Hmm.
all right? But the way they are managing it is causing pollution.
Yeah.
But then you have to feel sorry for the farmers that okay, what else are they going to do? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just easier to burn it. I mean, see, farmers burn wheat stubble as well, but you never hear them complaining about the whole smoke clouds coming to Delhi in winter because wheat stubble burns easily. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
dry. It's bone dry. You
Hmm.
know, paddy stubble burns because paddy, when you harvest paddy,
Hmm.
the stubble, the plant is still greenish brown. It's not dry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, when you're burning wet uh, biomass, it is
Yeah.
bound to release a lot of smoke.
Right.
All
Right.
right. And then they obviously spray kerosene on top of his petrol just to increase
The burn
uh,
rate.
the burning rate. Yeah, basically, because they just want to get it over. They
Yeah.
don't want to wait. Because, see, you can always leave the harvested stubble on the ground. It's
Hmm.
going to take 2 or 3 months to decompose and maybe decompose. Farmers are not going to wait 3 months because
Cost.
3 months
Yeah.
you can pull out one urad dal crop in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
The farmers in the north don't wait.
Yeah, I
They
mean, I,
can't
I
wait.
I get that. It's understandable, right? Like, why would they wait? It's a trade-off issue, and everything is a trade-off, really.
And
So
and
that's
and land,
understandable.
yeah, and vacant land. I mean,
Yeah,
is out
it's
of question
unproductive
in the
land.
north. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I would think, well, I mean, okay, India is kind of blessed in that way because it's a weird sort of like place in 30, we've got the Himalayas and then we've got the monsoon. So
Mhm.
it's kind of always pretty like, active. The land's active. There are places where in the winters you can't grow anything. It's just snow. So,
Absolutely.
okay, got it. I'm fascinated by farmers. I mean, I want to get one of them here because, these folks are working so close to reality because everything else is an abstraction in my opinion, right?
No, no,
Energy and
absolutely.
food mining, that's close to reality, and then everything else is an abstraction. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's screwed, everything's screwed.
agriculture, I mean, you can never eat. See, the thing is, people got to eat.
Yeah.
And for that, you have to grow, rear, cultivate, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
absolutely.
there are problems associated with, again, because these are living things that you need to handle. There are
Hmm.
problems that will always be there. That's
Hmm.
how best you manage it. And of course, you need to do it sustainably as well because, you know, you don't want to reach that tipping point that, okay, point of no return that now
Absolutely.
the soil is just barren and you cannot do anything. So,
Hmm.
you don't want to reach that stage.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I want to be
Basically.
mindful of your time as we enter the last section of the podcast. I have a lot of questions, so I'm going to request you to come back just to talk about agriculture and marketing generally. But like, okay, so just as we enter the last section, can you walk me through your typical product line in the agri input sector? So, like, what are the, what are the targets? So there is, of course, the crops, making the crops yield more. There is the genetic component to that as well. There is fertilizer. There must be pesticides. What all? Give me the product line.
Uh, okay, so let's start, all right, not necessarily in a particular order. So
Hmm.
first, we can talk about farm machinery. All right. So then you have basically all your tractors, your cultivators, your sprayers. All right. So you basically have to spray the crops with, whatever.
And the harvesters.
pesticide. Harvesters in the end, of course. You're like, then you have the whole section in farm machinery. So that's so basically the heavy machinery that can come under farm, farm machinery section. You have irrigation systems. All right. So you basically have sprinklers, you have drip irrigation, the company Netafim in which I work. So basically you have long plastic tubes, you have drippers in them, and by means of those plastic tubes, drippers, drip lines, you target the exact root zone of the plant, so that instead of opening the canal and flooding the whole field, you are giving just the required amount of water to the particular crop plant.
Okay.
You have irrigation systems as well. You have fertilizers also. So you have your bulk fertilizers, basically your urea, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So they come in different names. Nitrogen, urea is probably the most common one. Phosphorus and potassium. And then you have your micronutrients as well. So basically your calcium, magnesium, silicon, molybdenum. Molybdenum is another important, it's a pretty important component for plants to grow. Uske baad, after that, seeds, of course. All right. So basically you can have your field crop seeds. So like seeds which can actually grow into a new crop. All right. So you can have them for field crops, food crops and cash crops. All right. For flowers, whatever it is. All right. Fruits, orchards, whatever. Forest. So if you want to grow, if you want to have a whole plantation, then you have cuttings, basically all that.
Right.
You come to your crop protection things. So basically your chemicals, which are classified into seed protection. So basically before you sow the seed, you just basically coat it so that, you give it an initial protection against whatever things are there in the soil. Then you have your insecticides, your herbicides, and your herbicides, and how can I forget this? Insecticides, herbicides, and
that's fine. Describe whatever you're forgetting.
Fungicides. Fungicides. So mostly they're there. So you have some which can protect against bacteria and everything, but they're very limited number of those as well. I think after that, agri input, what does it require? I don't think, am I missing something? I don't think I'm missing. If I'm missing something, so please, whoever is listening to this, please comment.
And reach out.
Please. But I think these would be the primary agri input.
Product divisions, product lines.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to call energy in one of the
absolutely, I will call that. I mean,
ultimately, yes, you would require electricity to run your pumps. You would require diesel to run your pumps or something like that. If you can call energy
powers every other industry. If you want to do it in a productive way, I mean, you can do it with human labor, human muscle. But then people who are like poo-pooing energy, I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. Especially in the West, they don't know what you're talking about.
Energy, I mean, okay, it would be called an agri input per se, but since energy is required for everything, so might as well.
Call that.
Include that as well.
In your experience, the typical farmer today.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
And the most important agriculture input, farm labor. Hello,
of course,
manual labor.
Of course. But in your experience, the typical farmer today. Now, I do not know if it's going to be different for like the rich world versus the world which is trying to get rich. How are they maxed out? Do they use all these inputs? What's the growth here? Like, is this something?
So good question. Almost everybody has to use seeds, crop protection. All right. The adoption of machinery may be a little less. All right.
Okay.
Because those are very high investment. I mean, a tractor can cost lakhs of rupees.
Especially for India.
A micro irrigation system can also cost, I mean, from a few tens of thousands to lakhs and lakhs of rupees.
Right. So just for our international listeners, by the way, lakh is 100,000. That's how we count in India.
My apologies.
No, go ahead, please.
So that's a lot of money, basically. The government tries to subsidize these, but even after the subsidies provided, I mean, there are subsidies which can be to the tune of 90% as well in micro irrigation systems, for example, in certain states of India. I'm not sure how much the subsidy is for farm machinery things. I'm really not sure about it, but I'm sure there is some percentage of subsidy that's given, but even then, it is still a big investment for many people. They are not able to, like, especially farmers, smallholders who have less than 2 hectare. Is it in India? Is it 2 hectare? I think it's 2 hectare of land, less than 2 hectare. They're called small farmer, 2 hectare or
Yeah.
2 acre. We need to verify that.
I'm
So,
going to
yeah,
be assuming it's going to be 2 acres, but whatever, we'll verify that. But either
yeah,
way,
we'll have to
small
verify.
farmers. Yeah.
Yeah, small farmers. So they do not have the financial muscle to actually,
Yes.
the adoption of farm machinery may be a little problematic.
Right.
But apart from, okay, and then say fertilizers are cheap. The bulk fertilizers are highly subsidized in India. So most farmers are able to get their hands on fertilizers.
Right.
As far as the chemicals are concerned, again, you have you have whole plethora of products in the market. So there are cheap products, there are generic cheap products, there are the branded products as well. So then it depends upon the financial capability of the farmer.
Right.
If he wants to go for the cheaper version or if he wants to go for the expensive version. So
There's the issue of
seed
debt
fertilizer,
financing as well.
there is an issue of financing as well. Yeah, there's a huge issue of financing as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Agri
Interesting.
credit, availability of agri credit is there. But then again, farmers usually do not really have that much trust on the banks that, okay, yeah, we're going to get a credits and everything. They usually go to the money lenders,
Right.
which charge a lot of interest.
Interest. Yeah.
And then they're not able to repay. And then you have a lot of cases of
Yeah.
suicide cases,
Yeah.
they're all over the news.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
could be multiple reasons, but yeah,
Yeah.
there is an agri credit system as well. There is an agri insurance system as well. But I'm not really sure how much it's working or really benefiting the farmers.
I think if we can have some systems with, like, I mean, I don't know if
The systems
they're
are in
everywhere.
place.
They are, okay.
The systems are in place.
Yeah.
I'm not sure to what extent they are benefiting.
Okay.
That would be my question. I mean, you need to get someone who's actually aware
Yeah.
about your agri finance and the agri insurance
Well,
schemes.
first they'll need to educate me, and then they'll need to educate others via me.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not an authority, and I'm not
Yeah.
in touch with all of that, so I really can't comment.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I do think that this is just my opinion, right? So if farmers can sort of have contracts with people who want the fruit or whatever they're trying to grow, and they get some kind of like some contractual financial stability, that tends to help. But I don't know, like if
See,
that's really helping.
no. So, okay, so what you're talking about, basically, there's a term called contract farming.
Okay.
There is an already a coined term called contract farming.
Okay.
Many big industries engage in contract farming. Many farmers also. So, for example, big companies like your McCain's and PepsiCo, if I may be allowed to take the names of certain companies, they're just, I'm using them as examples. They have contracts with farmers to grow potatoes.
Right.
PepsiCo for Lay's chips, McCain for all their potato line and everything. So they enter into contract farming. So basically, contract farming is that, okay, fine. At the beginning of the season, I'm going to purchase these many kilograms or these many tons of your XX product at this price.
Right.
No matter what.
No matter what.
So the price of the product may fluctuate later on, like because the prices may go up and down. But this company says that, okay, we are going to pay you, provided you follow these steps. So if you enter into a contract farming, so they also have the steps that a certain set of practices, basically they call it a kit that the farmers have to follow,
right,
in order to actually achieve that output.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The government also tried to introduce, so when the 3 farm laws bills were passed and later on repealed, the government tried to do that, but the farmers, so contract farming was not a law. The government tried to make it a law. They, if I may be allowed to express my views here, they kind of messed up in the remedies, the constitutional remedies in which the farmers would, try to settle a dispute. They kind of screwed up that whole thing. All right. So, I mean, the second law that was passed in our parliament, as far as the farm laws were concerned, the second law was that, okay, fine, the farmers are allowed to engage into a contract farming, all right, with so and so parties, and then they made this a law.
Right.
The remedy to any dispute was that any farmer, say for example, I'm a farmer, Saagar is a big ass company. we engage into a contract that, okay, I'm going to grow these many oranges, and Sagar says, something happens in between that I'm not able to grow something. Sagar says that I'm not going to pay you anything. All right. Or rather, Sagar says that, "Acha, I feel that this is not up to the quality. And I maintain that, no, this is exactly, I have done exactly what I'm giving you a scenario in which a dispute can arise.
I understand. Yeah.
Sagar will say that, okay, fine. No, this is definitely not as per my quality standards. I'm going to say that, no, Sagar, I have done everything that you have done. Now we have a disagreement.
Yeah.
Where do I go? What do you
Yeah.
think? Where do you think does a farmer like me go now? According to
Well,
this, okay,
yeah.
first I'll take your guess.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, in a completely ideal world, you sue the company and you know, get settled. But come on, I know that's not the reality.
Exactly. So okay, you sue the company and you get settled. Basically, you go to court. You take the company to court.
Yeah.
In this law, what they did was that any dispute, there was a three-level settle. There was a three-level. There is, or rather, they proposed and passed a three-level mechanism of settling a dispute.
Okay.
The first level was a conciliatory board or something, like, okay, two parties come, sit down, like, okay, we just basically sit face to face. Yeah, okay, it's okay, let's try to talk this out.
Yeah.
The second level, if our talks did not happen, then the second level was a sub district SDM, a sub district magistrate.
Right. So bureaucrat comes
And
in.
yeah, so you could take it to the SDM. And if the SDM also was not able to resolve your dispute, then it went on to what was the term they called? An appellate commission or an appellate group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which basically comprised of like a collector or a sub collector or something. This was the final step at which a farmer had to stop, because they could not go to the court. So now,
that's problematic.
Yeah. So now, like, I mean, so see, the farmers did not trust that, okay, how will it, see, again, all the laws, all the criticism of the laws were also on probabilities, but very probable probabilities. Okay, if I'm,
Yeah.
that why can't Saagar Singh Sachdev bribe an SDM? Okay, well, this is now questioning or their faith on the entire system. That why can't, one particular individual be influenced by a big corporate to have the decision in their favor?
It's a valid question. It's a very valid question in politics that treats corporations and any entity as a single person. Power differential.
And this fear is not, it has its ground in, in examples that you come across.
Of course.
That, there is widespread corruption. There are very few people who are honest or who will actually do their jobs properly. So the farmers, then they felt that, okay, if we do not have any access to judicial remedies, why the hell should we engage in a contract and then tomorrow? So for example, tomorrow, if I say that, okay, I have this contract in front of me, then you say that, no, I'm not going to pay you this much.
Right.
Now, for example, 5-6 of you big companies form a cartel, then every one of you say that, okay, we are the top 5, but procuring, for example, 90% of the potatoes in the whole country.
Yeah.
And we decide that, okay, we are not going to abide by a contract and we are not going to pay the farmers this much money.
Yes.
Whom does the farmer go to?
Yeah.
According to the law, the buck stops at the third level, which is an appeal. It's
appellate authority. Yeah.
Appellant.
But the point is, it's part of the executive. It's not part of the judiciary. So that becomes a problem.
Exactly. And they passed this law. And so basically, see, contract farming, again, was never a law. It was just a practice. All right. The government tried to bring this under the gamut of the executive. Was secured by the judiciary.
Yeah.
But then even the farmer could not go to the judiciary. And this was a thing that they wanted to be settled within the districts. So it never made sense.
Yeah. Understood.
So like, again, contract farming, of course, there are many examples where contract farming has actually guaranteed benefits to the farmers. But once you start bringing these, additional riders into the whole thing, so,
that becomes a problem.
That becomes a problem. Well, okay, then again, it's my personal. I might be a little biased here because I did not really like the farm laws in the manner in which they were brought to the parliament, and second, the so-called benefits that the government thought that they would bring to the farmers. But again, that's my personal opinion. But
the let's just say the energy to help the farmers as well as help everybody in the process, I think that should not die away. We should, think of more systems, be more transparent. Of course, we need to secure the farmers, right? Right. So that I think we should try again. Don't just be like, okay, that didn't work out. Maybe see what's working out, speak to them. That's what were the issues rather than having an adversarial relationship. Which brings me to, as a last question, you, I'm assuming, have spoken to a lot of farmers, right? Since you
Well,
started your career.
I've been lucky by virtue of my work traveling.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. Yes, yes. Thank you.
Could you share a few examples where, so, I mean, you're basically a city boy, right? We grew up together. How were you humbled? Were you humbled ever in your interactions with with the farmers that you spoke to your clients?
Oh, I mean, from the first visit,
Wow.
okay, so I also have been very lucky, okay, that I actually worked with companies whose products were working good in the market. So, that also makes a difference, all right,
Yes, of
without
course.
advertising.
Yeah. No vaporware, actual stuff
Yeah.
that works. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was actually very lucky to have worked in both companies whose products were actually good. I mean, I'm not
Mm,
saying because I worked for them, because yeah, I've seen the comparisons as well.
yeah.
And when you have happy farmers, I mean, see, the kind of love, the kind of unconditional love that they shower upon you when you go there, and they understand, okay, this particular gentleman is from X company, and I was again lucky to have worked in the head office of both the companies. So the salespeople also say that, okay, this gentleman has come from the head office and he's come to meet you. They try
Yeah.
to make you feel special and everything. And then once you sit down with the farmers, and you hear their stories, you interact with them, you speak to farmers, that okay, how you speak to disgruntled farmers as well. There have been many cases where okay, I had never had to face a very catch-22 situation where I was like, I'm like lost for words. I cannot really say anything. Luckily, I
Mm,
have never felt, and hats off to all the salespeople who are actually on the ground who face those problems as well.
yeah.
Hats off to them. I mean, yeah, I mean, in both my companies and other companies as well, if I can reach out to my sales force, those are the real heroes, because yeah, they really they are the ones in the first line of fire. So if it's
Mm,
good, but if it's bad, they are the ones. So shout out to all my sales friends, my sales ex-colleagues. But yes, I mean, there have been multiple instances where I've been there. You sit down with the farmer, they have invited me over to the houses to have a meal. Have it could be just a cup of tea as well. But their willingness to share their stories, their willingness to, okay, how this particular product or anything has actually helped them, and how and most importantly, if they see, okay, there's one thing that the farmer has a very, like, I buy and this is good, but there are
mm,
certain instances where they're like, okay, I'm actually making an impact,
yeah.
right? So for example, in a micro irrigation, and they actually feel that, yeah, I'm actually using less water.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm saving water, for not just for myself, but yeah, for the community as well. So they have a little bit more water. So those are the experiences that I feel that, and of course, you see really poor farmers, you see medium-sized farmers, you see farmers who are rich, all right. But even then, you see that how much connected they are to their profession.
Yeah.
Like, okay, ultimately they're like, okay, you cannot imagine the money certain farmers have. I mean, the riches and everything, but the humility with which they carry themselves,
Mm,
all right, is just enough to rub on you that, okay, listen, yeah, I might be a city boy earning so much money and everything. I might be living an urban life doing this, that, and everything. But yes, this is where, you just look at these people, you look at the humility with which they carry themselves, because they are
mm,
farmers which are turning crores of rupees.
right.
Yet they have no, uh, unwanted or obnoxious air around themselves, that, yeah, listen, I'm such a big dude, who the hell are you,
Yeah.
basically they can simply say that, I don't know, I don't have time for you, all
Yeah.
right, you are a nobody to me, basically.
Yeah.
But they always welcome you, because yeah, in some way or the other, your product has improved their lifestyle, right, has helped improve their practices.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, there are times when, there was a farmer, he said, okay, you're gonna have dinner at my place. So even during my internship time, yeah, I mean, this is an instance. So since I've been, in agri space all this while, so this was in Gujarat, and this was in the year 2012. I mean, my first actually outing and with agriculture people. No, actually, I'll share another instance. So this was
Sure.
in Raleigh. So in my college days, let's go
Mm,
a little further back. So in the final year of our agriculture course, so we have a program called a Rural Agricultural Work Experience, RAWE. That's the short form. So
Right.
what you basically have to do in one of the months of the RAWE period, you had to attach with a farmer,
Mm.
family.
Mm.
You have to understand what particular problem they were facing agriculturally, and try to provide a solution to them.
Okay.
So I was positioned in, okay, so to say, Almora district, all right, and there was a family, uh, this old man, lady, son, daughter, and 4, 5 grandchildren. They're just one house living and everything.
Almora is in Uttarakhand.
Almora is in Uttarakhand. Almora is in the
Right.
Kumaon region of Uttarakhand. It's one of
Right.
the districts.
Right.
And so we were 4, 5 boys, 6 of us actually. Yeah, we were
Mm.
stationed in the like at a central point, and then we had our own families, and we had to. So my
Okay.
family, I had to walk maybe 4 or 5 kilometers up a hill to reach. So my family was like at the topmost of that hill.
Mm.
And so I was there for about a month, and we had to visit. I visited them twice or thrice every week. So I would
Okay.
do that up and down every time, because yeah, it was I had nothing to do, and I had to like basically go and talk to them and understand their problems as well. And so yeah, we basically just tried to understand, okay, what their issue was. So
Yeah.
they were we would basically gave them a set of solutions that, okay, yeah, you can probably try this, and then it might just work out.
Yeah.
But every time that I went there, so and they weren't a very well-to-do household. I mean, it was a hill village or something like that,
Right.
and one house village, so to say. It was
Yeah.
just their house in on top of the hill, and a few other houses, but maybe like 50, 100
Yeah.
meters away. Every time that I went there, this old gentleman, Pan Singh Bish, basically his name was Pan Singh Bish. I don't know. I sometimes actually I think that, yeah, maybe he's alive or not. I don't know. Yeah, I still remember, like, at least I remember his face.
Yeah.
And every time I would go there, he would not gift me like something from his farm. So it could be like a big cucumber,
Right.
and I'm not talking about the thin ones. In our hills we have like the big kakadi type.
Right. 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 Big
Yeah,
ones. Yeah.
big one. And sometimes he would just gift me, you know,
A Loki.
a Loki. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
bottle gourd.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, listen, you really don't have to do this. And he's like, no, 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 no. Listen, you're coming here. This is just for your troubles. That's it.
Wow.
And every
Wow.
time, and I mean, if you looked at his household, nothing. He wasn't a very well-to-do person and everything. He just had
Mm.
enough land to grow something. Old person trying to, grow whatever he can, just
Yeah.
subsistence. That's it, just for his family. But every time he would give me something. So one day he's like, okay, why don't you take this 1 liter of milk that I have milk from my cows? I'm like, I cannot take milk. It's just 4 kilometers after. Oh, no, please, you take. And I'm like, okay, fine. What do I do? So, every time he would just give something. Sometimes he'll just pluck some beans from his farm, and he'll like, why don't you take this? All right.
Yeah.
And sometimes he'll say that, okay, why don't you take I have a little bit of flour, all right, atta. All right, why don't you take this? And you boys are there, you might be hungry, this, that, and everything. Why don't you
Mm.
take? So, I mean, he really, I felt that was the first time that I felt that, yeah,
Yeah.
dude, if you actually really work with the farmers, they're gonna shower you with so much love
Yeah.
that, and it's gonna be unconditional. Okay, being in Syngenta or being in Netafim, I would say that, okay, I'm actually working for a company that, was going to market whatever stuff and everything.
Yeah.
But that experience, I was really not giving them anything as such in return. I mean, we basically, then I gave him a bunch of earthworms for culture, composting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All for free and everything. But I wasn't really, I felt that I wasn't really making that much of an impact that, he would be so touched that every time he would basically just like shower me with so much affection. Like his whole family, like even, the old grand lady, she would also like, beta, come and everything. And fortunately, the Kumaunis, they speak a very different dialect, something, but Almora region, because it's near Garhwal, so they spoke some mixed dialect, which I could understand. I'm from Garhwal Hills of Uttarakhand, and
Right.
Almora being Kumaon, but they were somewhere from the border area, so they had a mix of both.
So
And
all
we
the
would have
dialects of Hindi, right? This is all dialects of Hindi.
all dialects of Hindi. Yeah. So
Okay.
Garhwali is a dialect,
Right.
Kumaoni is a dialect. So, and
Right.
I was, it used, I just remember those animated conversations that I would try to comprehend what they were saying, but I could get most of it,
Right.
fortunately.
Wow.
But yeah, I just reminisce what something's wrong with my pronunciation. Yeah, but Yeah.
Language
I
evolves,
just
man.
okay. Let's make it easier. I just remember those times, and then yeah, I feel that really humbled. I mean, those were times when I felt that yeah, okay, this is a good sector to be in.
Yeah, yeah, no, that would change you. I mean, I can imagine that would change you. It's almost like you were like an embedded journalist. You really felt their pain points, and then you were perfectly
And
placed
they
in any marketing department.
and they had no reason, they had no incentive to
Yeah,
be good to me. They
yeah,
could have said
yeah,
on the first day that, listen, yeah, we don't want
yeah,
you, we don't know who you are. I mean,
yeah,
I'm a guy from Delhi. I just come up. I mean, okay, I try to, build some connection with them that, listen, yeah, I'm also from the hills.
yeah, yeah,
My name is Butola, and I come from Uttarakhand, and my grandparents are from Kedarnath and Badrinath. I try to sort of kind of build that connection with
yeah,
them,
yeah, yeah.
just to get things going. And they really did not have any incentive. Farmers do not have an incentive to be good to you, but they are.
No, yeah. I mean, I can imagine like even the rich farmers. My theory is they face nature and reality every day. Nature
They
reality
do,
humbles
they
them.
do, they do. I mean, it's still a big risk. I mean, yeah, of
Yeah,
course, they might have the bigger capacity to deal with those risks, but those are risks nonetheless.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They see it every day. That's beautiful, man. Any last words for this podcast?
Nah, I mean, well, this was fun. I mean, yeah, we started talking about agriculture marketing, and then I think we went on to multiple things. But anyways, it's always nice to talk about agriculture because, yeah, I mean, this is something that is, really literally connected to the grassroots,
Yeah,
so to
yeah.
say.
Keeps
This
all of
was
us
fun.
alive.
Yeah, I
All
mean,
of
this was
us.
my first time, and I hope that, people, because, yeah, they people, it gets them excited about, how things are actually working.
Yeah,
So, I mean, they can probably take hints or some leads from whatever we have discussed and then look things up,
yeah,
build their own perspective around things, form their informed opinions about whatever it can be. All right.
yeah,
All right. I might, in certain things, I might come as biased. So people are more than welcome to form their own opinions. All right. But do form informed opinions. Don't just, take any word for granted. Uh, and yes, agriculture marketing is difficult. Yes, the farmers, particularly in India, um, yeah, a lot more can be done for them. A lot more research needs to be done as far as our cropping is concerned, because yeah, we are very low on and in terms of productivity. We need to improve that. There is a lot of research going on, but the rate at which the research is going on, like I said previously, like the delta of the
yeah.
research, it's not really happening at that pace. So
Hmm.
there are more and more chemicals and everything coming out, but there are lesser and lesser of improved varieties that can actually, have a better genetic potential.
Hmm.
Uh, okay, if you want to introduce GMO and everything, that's a whole different debate altogether. We have GMO things. We already have cotton, which is a GMO. All right. And then it actually improved cotton production in India and all over the world for that matter. But then
Yeah,
there was a lot of story behind it that, okay, how X company improved that particular
yeah.
uh, crop, and
Hmm.
then how they actually messed up with the pesticides that worked on those crops. So,
Yeah,
these are instances where you feel, that's why people think that, yeah, we should maybe GMO is really not that good a thing. There
yeah.
are instances which discourage people to actually then, you take 2 steps forward and then you take 4 steps back because of things like that.
Yeah,
Whether GMO can solve our problems, not, I really don't know. I mean,
yeah.
but we definitely need to address the issue of productivity in it. And I'm talking about across, like, I'm talking about milk production, I'm talking about crop field production, I'm talking about almost everything. We
Hmm.
grow a lot because we have a lot of, we are number one in milk production because we have a lot of cattle,
Hmm.
but our productivity is really not up to international standards, the
Okay.
international levels.
Got it. Okay. So a lot of work needs to be done over
A lot
there.
of work
So,
needs to be done. A lot of work needs to be done fast,
hmm.
because yeah, for far too long, agriculture has been brushing aside the question of when is agriculture in India going to be sustainable,
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
far too long. And I think we cannot ignore that question anymore. I mean, Europe is already putting heavy restrictions on use of chemicals, and Europe is going high into biologicals, like
Okay.
investing a lot in
Mm.
biologicals. But yeah, we probably in India, we will
Yeah.
still be using a lot of chemicals for many years before actually we feel that, yeah, okay, enough is enough.
Different priorities. Hungry people need food.
Yeah, exactly. And rightfully so. We have different priorities.
Mm.
Right now we probably do not have the luxury that, our stomach's full and then let's start talking about something else. We need to get our
Yes.
stomach full first. Majority of our population.
Very well said, man. Very well said. Perfect. Okay. So, audiences, thank you for joining us again. Siddhartha and I are going to debrief, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sagar. Thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you. And yeah, I apologize again. I'm going to disclaim again here that if I've said anything wrong, so please reach out. I'm more than willing to be corrected in any facts or anything that I've said. All right. Cheers
Awesome.
and take care wherever you are. Thank you.